Hey guys, I'm still alive and it is this time again. The Repentance Plus beta got another new patch to version 1.9.7.11 and I will once again tell you all about the most important changes that come with it. This time around, the patch is mostly about balance changes and bug fixes, and there are a lot of them. I will show you all the balance changes in this video, but not the bug fixes, as it isn't really possible for me to show you most of those in video form. I hope you understand. If you want to read up on them, check the video description for the link to the full patch notes. Anyway, let's focus on the balance changes now. Spoilers ahead, a lot of them are actually nerfs this time around, so grab your choice of either a popcorn or a pitchfork, sit back and enjoy. Let's start with some changes to enemies. The cutworm enemy has been adjusted to not stay hidden inside its body for an insanely long time anymore. The Kineti enemy will now only grab rocks to throw at you when it is on screen, so no sneak attacks while you are in big rooms. The Blood Cultist enemy got the same treatment. It will no longer fire its blood attack from off screen. The tier height of the Red Champion Mega Fatty's puke attack was adjusted so that it doesn't fly over Isaac's head anymore. I didn't even know that was a thing, to be honest. And the last one regarding enemy changes, the Siren boss can no longer steal Isaac's heart or the starting incubus of Lilith. And here comes the first nerf. The horse pill version of the amnesia pill will now unidentify all previously identified pills. Just to clarify, this will not change the pill pool, so it is a strictly bad side effect now. Tainted Maggie's bleeding hearts will now provide only half the charge when used for the sharp plug item. This previously made Tainted Maggie invincible, pretty much resulting in an instant win for the character. This change basically removes one of the last remaining 1 item breaks in the game, while also killing yet another one of my older videos. Rest in peace. Tainted Blue Baby will now swap his poop and key count when you use a bombs or key pill, which totally makes sense. They also added a 1% chance for the Wheel of Fortune card to spawn a crane game instead of the usual slot machine or fortune telling machine. A very cool change. The patch also gave the punching bag item the ability to block enemy shots back, which it actually had in Rebirth, but it got removed in Afterbirth for some reason. Here is another big one. The glowing hourglass as well as the Book of Shadows item have both been removed from the possible items to find for Tainted Lost. Oh boy, this one will probably get some people heated. What is your opinion on this specific change? Please let me know down in the comments. Using the Meat Cleaver item on the Angel mini-bosses will no longer spawn 2 key pieces. I am personally sad to see this one go, as it was a really cool and niche application for a usually rarely used item. The Delirious item got another full rework, as the first one didn't really hit the mark at all. I will most likely make a dedicated video for this one, so to keep it short for this video, it is back to a fixed 12 room charge item. But the bosses had their health and damage values adjusted to make them more tanky, while also doing more damage. They will also not get damaged by stuff like red poops, spikes or fireplaces anymore, which previously melted them in seconds. Speaking of Delirium, the boss itself actually got some much needed fixes for once. The Mom's Foot and Satan's Foot version of the boss now have a delay before they can stomp the player after transforming. On top of that, they will also not spawn additional projectiles in this form, and they will also not randomly speed up anymore. There are a few more of the previously buffed items that got a second round of balance adjustments. Mars is one of them. The shield at the end of the charge was removed again and replaced with regular iframes. This means you can still enter curse rooms for free, but you can't play blood donation machines or demon beggars anymore. The recently added impact tremors have also been removed and replaced with a ring of flame pillars that apply burn to enemies. The Jar of Wisps item, which was recently reduced to 6 charges, is back to 12 charges. However, don't pull your pitchforks out too early. The item will now start at 2 spawned wisps on the first use instead of only 1. And all the wisps generated from it have a high chance to be special wisps instead of the regular blue ones. Oh boy, here comes another big one. You can no longer use the pause buffer trick to always get the desired item with the glitched crown item. Pausing the game now will cause the rotation to speed up like crazy, making it completely impossible to time your grab with it. Time to learn doing it the hard way. There's also once again some changes to the Abyss item. Several of the new special locusts that I showcased in a dedicated video last patch have been deemed too powerful and had their proc chance nerfed this time around. For example, the insane Eraser locust got its proc chance reduced from 1% down to 0.5%. And the little Abaddon locust dropped from 20% down to 10%. The same is probably true for FM and more of the Void, since both of them have the same effect. But there has also been a buff, or rather a fix, to one of the special locusts. The knockback from the farting locust has been increased. This one was actually a bug that I reported myself, so I'm glad it got noticed and adjusted. The knockback was basically non-existent before. The stat boost from the aura of the Star of Bethlehem item was adjusted to match that of the hallowed ground poop. This simply means that the aura got its damage buff reduced from a ×1.8 multiplier down to a ×1.2 multiplier, resulting in an overall nerf of the item. The wisps created from the Book of Virtues item in combination with the bean and kidney bean item will now despawn when leaving the room. This is obviously a nerf for the two items, but it was also a needed fix, because the two beans got their charge changed to be time-based instead of room clear based in the last patch, which allowed you to farm wisps infinitely with this item combo. Clearing a secret room that contains a greed fight will now allow you to access the adjacent challenge rooms, which was previously not the case. Here is a welcome change that players asked for years. They added a spawn indicator for enemies in boss rush, challenge rooms, the Great Gideon boss and greed mode in general, so no more random unavoidable damage out of nowhere. This one was already teased on Twitter before. You can donate a golden key to a keymaster or a golden bomb to a bomb bum to instantly get their usually rare item payout. A really cool change. Charging your active items with a battery bomb while holding multiple active items will now fully charge all of your items first before starting to overcharge your current item. The patch notes claim that the pause item and the black powder item synergize now by allowing you to draw circles while the room is paused. However, I'm a bit confused by this one, because at least for my testing, this one already worked in regular Repentance, but I guess there probably were some cases where it wouldn't work. Here is another big one. The patch added a very low chance for a lot of the bosses in the game to drop an additional themed item or trinket on them. For example, Monstro can drop the Monstrous Tooth and Pin can drop a random worm trinket. However, you have to know that in the case of the item spawn, you have to choose between the themed drop and the regular boss item, as they will get linked into a choice pedestal. In the case of the trinket, that one will just be a free bonus drop on top of the boss item. I will probably make a dedicated video about all the possible drops soon, so stay tuned for that. If you are new here, then please consider subscribing to the channel to not miss out on that one or another Isaac video. It would be much appreciated. Anyway, back to the balance changes. The Dr. Fetus item got a slight buff to the range of your bombs when used with the number 1 or Pluto item. Both of them had an even lower range before, which resulted in guaranteed self-damage if you stand still while shooting. The Ludovico technique now grants a 0.2 shot speed increase, which causes your tier to travel a bit faster right away. Once you open the Mega Satan door, it will now stay open even if you use the Forget Me Now effect on the floor, which makes the item not useless anymore if you want to go for that specific end boss. Here is another big nerf that will certainly annoy a lot of people. They increased the rarity of the D20 in the greed mode shop. This one is the only nerf in the patch that I personally disagree with. I feel like they should either keep it as it is or remove it from greed mode altogether. Players that want to force a D20 on the first floor are now still able to do it, but it just takes longer by requiring more resets. You might as well just cheat it in at that point, which feels weird in my opinion. The patch also added a new line in the options.ini file, which allows you to disable the ascend dialog between mom and dad. If you are annoyed by it, just set it to 0. There will probably also be mods that allow you to do this in-game as well soon. Rerolling all the items on your character with the likes of D4, D100 or dice rooms will no longer reroll a character's passive starting items anymore. They will also not be consumed by the reverse stars card anymore under the same condition. The clicker item was also changed in that regard. Switching into a new character will also grant you their intrinsic passive items. However, those items will obviously also be removed if you change characters again. Additionally, the clicker got a slight buff, which makes it only remove your most recent item 50% of the time when you use the item, instead of the usual 100% of the time. That was all the main balance changes to the regular game modes. There have also been some adjustments to daily runs again, which I can obviously not show you any footage for, so I will at least show you the notes on the screen right here. The biggest adjustment to the score meter is probably the change to how Forget-Me-Now works in dailies. It will now cause the floor to only grant half the exploration points on the first reset and no points at all for all resets after that, which prevents players from farming infinite points by duplicating the item. However, the more important changes to the general player that doesn't care about the score are the additions of the Mother, Home and Delirium paths to the daily rotation, which brings some much needed variety to it. Anyway, that was it for my showcase of all the balance changes in patch 1.9.7.11 for the Repentance Plus beta. Nothing super exciting this time around and a lot of nerfs that will probably anger some people. But please don't go out of your way to attack the developers if you are one of those angry folks. Be mindful and exert your criticism in a polite way. And on that note, I want to end the video with my own critique. Balance changes are fine and appreciated, but I once again have to say it. Edmund and Nicholas, please focus on fixing the API and modding issues. The modding scene is what keeps this game alive, and you should do everything to help those guys out, at least in my humble opinion. Either way, that was it for me for today. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video and want to support the channel, and I will see you again in the next one. Bye!
He's the number one,
Isaac!
God's favorite son.